Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Miller Report. I'm really excited to talk to this week's guest. I really am. I have so many questions I want to ask. He's considered to be a top leader in his field. He's appeared before the Federal Trade Commission. His background in retail is generational. His great-grandfather, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is just what I've read. His great-grandfather was a pioneer in retail merchandising. They've been involved in the creations of brands such as, you ready? Rexall Drugs, Trader Joe's, Woolworths, and Foot Locker. I want to welcome Burt Flickinger III to the Miller Report. What about theft? Who's going to go into a department store or a drugstore? Right now, I understand Walgreens is closing 250 stores. Yeah. I understand that Rite Aid is not far behind it. What are you seeing in the drugstore business? You could also steal up to $900 and you don't get any penalties. Right. So you're going in, you're giving these people free food, free drugs, everything's locked up. What's going to happen to these drugstores?
As long as crime's out of control, as you presciently pointed out, Suzanne, it's really like a jailbreak at retail, especially chain drug retail. And I talked to Steve Hopte, who's in charge of federal port security, but also retail security, state police, and teaches the Seton Hall program of retail and criminal justice. And he said it's just unworkable. Rite Aid, to your point, only sells in many cases 70 to 80,000 per store per week in Manhattan, maybe 100.
How much was it?
It was about 40-50% higher. But to your point on theft, Suzanne, they're having 50,000 a week stolen from the stores, and for every $300 that's stolen, there's so little recovery of what's stolen. You have to do $30,000 more in sales just to break even from the 300 that was stolen. So the math just doesn't work. Everybody's upside down. We're seeing it Chicago, Detroit, New York.
Every Democratic city.
Very fair. And we do a lot of work in Baltimore, Washington, and the mayor encouraged the looters and the people stealing, break into the Rite Aid, take the prescription drugs, especially the controlled substance drugs, and then burn the store down, and then asked Rite Aid to rebuild the stores. The same thing's happening in the south side of Chicago. But here's the bad part. It's exclusive for the Miller Report, Suzanne, is that in Illinois, Chicago specifically, Walmart and Amazon have received over $100 million in subsidies. They've cashed the checks and closed the stores.
Subsidies from who?
From city, county, and state governments. City of Chicago, Cook County.
And then they close the stores.
And then they close the stores, and then they put all the union workers, because unionized companies like Kroger and Albertsons with low to no subsidies can't compete against the wealthiest family in the world, Walmart. The Waldens get $100 million today in dividends, tomorrow, and every day, every year.
Let me just understand this, Burt. So basically what you're saying is they're getting subsidies up to $100 million in cities like Chicago. Then they close the stores, they lay off the union workers, and then they reopen non-union? Is that what they're doing?
They don't even open at all, Suzanne. And what's worse, and we don't go looking for it, but we do a lot of expert witness work for the murdered families and the people that are maimed and just as bad, is Walmart has low to no security. So wealthiest family in the world, they fail worldwide where they don't get subsidies, Asia, Latin America, Africa, Europe. They fail where they don't get subsidies. They do get subsidies in the U.S., but they have low to no budget for security. So we did a cover story for Bloomberg and Time. They use 911 as the local security. So
what are they going to do with they don't go to jail anyway, and they're legally allowed to steal up to $900? What's the point of 911?
Exactly, and as Steve Hopte points out so presciently at the Seton Hall program of criminal justice and law, is that Kroger and Target hire people with criminal justice degrees and backgrounds straight out of school, ex-law enforcement, ex-military, second jobs. So Kroger and Target really take care of public safety, protecting workers, shoppers, vendors, where Walmart, the highest crime precincts in my professional opinion, are not necessarily the 77th precinct in New York. It's the immediate 3-mile or 1-mile PTA or primary trading area surrounding every Walmart urban supercenter.
But wait, even if they hired the CIA, they could hire the frickin' United States Supreme Court judges to do this. It's not going to change because they don't go to jail. They're legally allowed to steal up to $900. So whatever security they have does not matter. Am I correct?
You're correct. However, by visible presence of people looking like uniformed law enforcement, the bad guys know it's
Excuse me, a friend of mine owns a grocery store. I will not say the name, and it's not John's, in New York City. He hired somebody like that. He had a uniform on. Do you know what the thief did? He tried to tell him to stop stealing because he had his bag trying to get $900 worth. He took out a box cutter and slit his arm.
That's why I carry a box.
That's exactly what happened.
And that's why I carry a box cutter with me all the time for self-protection.
So let's just move on to the bigger issue here. The system is broken. It is so broken. I'm so glad you came on the Miller Report. But not only is it broken on the fact that there's 250 stores closing, let's talk about the effect on the cities and the economy. Because the person that is renting Walmart or Rite Aid, they have a landlord. Somebody owns that building. That building is now going to have an empty tenant. That landlord now their loans are coming due. Most of these loans were refinanced 5 years ago. So those notes are coming due. Yeah. They're going to have no tenant. They're going to have no workers there. So now you're going to the small bagel store downstairs is not going to have a pedestrian shopping for their bagels. So it goes down from the landlord to the tenant to the workers to the city to the crime. How are we going to fix this?
Suzanne, what we tell the labor unions at the Joint Labor Management Council of the major labor unions, Teamsters, bakers, retail clerks, and the unionized employers who have lost over 300,000 jobs to retail crime and a combination of Walmart, Amazon subsidies. What we tell them is go to Albany, go to Springfield, Illinois, go to the State House and say, no more campaign contributions unless you get crime under control, to your present point, for landlords, for workers, for shoppers, for vendors, because what we tell the unions is you don't have to change Democratic Party affiliation. Run Connie Leva, the brilliant union president from 1428 in California and Los Angeles, run her against the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, run her against the former Dianne Feinsteins of the world, have her challenge Patty Murray in Washington State, and get the union leaders who know how to protect their workers, know how to protect their employers, know how to protect their landlords, know how to protect their vendors, not giving away these subsidies, and reinstating law enforcement to law and order the way it should be and the way it is in virtually every other country, with the exception of Paris, where there are riots with les gens or the yellow vests.
Well, this is it's just such an eye-opening. You are the expert in this. You're saying, just to recap, 250 stores are closed for Walgreens. We have got Rite Aid closing. We have even union shops closing. This is getting worse. It's not getting better. How's Amazon doing?
Amazon's doing great because they didn't pay taxes, Suzanne, for the first 25 years in business. Is a massive government giveaway. And there's still in California where Walmart in the last 25 years has gotten over $500 million in subsidies. Amazon's gotten over $1 billion in subsidies to put unionized employers, food, drug, discount department stores out of business. And at the same time, Walmart and Amazon close. Or I did a cover story for the Detroit Free Press where Amazon's got 11 stores in downtown Detroit and Dearborn that they got subsidies for that are already built, and they're not opening, so the landlord gets no override.
They're not opening because they don't want theft.
Right.
So they're going to do everything online because you can't steal online.
Exactly.
Well, that's a wrap. This sums it up. This is really, I mean, get out and vote. Get out and make a difference because our cities are crumbling. This is horrendous. It starts at the top and it goes down to the guy selling a bagel in the store downstairs. It's a house of cards that is falling down, and we need to fix it. And thank you so much for coming on the Miller Report, and we're going to get this out.
Great to team up, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.